What's going on, guys? We are back live on TikTok and live on YouTube doing another Best Ball Mania 3 draft on Underdog. Today could be the day, guys. Today could be the day that we cash the $2 million prize. What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. I'm pumped today, guys. I got a good feeling because I have finally finished updating what is going on, Beast Mode 26. Let's go. I'm feeling good about today. Celtics are going to get the dub today. To join this draft, it's real simple, Noah. All you got to do to join this draft, you go to the Underdog Fantasy app or the website. I'm on the website right now because I'm live streaming on my phone, but they have a great app as well. You're going to go to the Best Ball Mania 3 contest. You're going to hit enter. It's $25 to enter. This is a real draft. It's not a mock draft. And it looks like we got five spots left if you want to join. There's 5 spots left. Guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok. Celtics game day. This is a huge day for the Celtics. They cannot go down 0-2. I don't think they're going to go down 0-2, though. I haven't seen the latest news about Marcus Smart and if he's playing tonight. I know that'll be a big deal. I did not like watching Naismith shoot threes in the last game. Who are you drafting first overall in fantasy football? Got a question in the TikTok live. It's Jonathan Taylor. I actually just recently made a video about Christian McCaffrey. I think he should pretty obviously be the number 2 overall pick in fantasy football, and number 1 should be Jonathan Taylor. It won't surprise me at all, though, when Horford is confirmed out or in. I would like an update on that. It's not going to be surprising when Christian McCaffrey finishes as the number 1 overall running back if he stays healthy. He had the second best fantasy football season of all time. Christian McCaffrey had the second best fantasy football season of all time. He was just a few points behind the best fantasy football season of all time. That was right behind LaDainian Tomlinson. But the thing you have to understand about Christian McCaffrey is he did it without an insane amount of touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey can score an insane amount of fantasy points without scoring touchdowns. He's one of the few cases like that because he gets so many receptions in PPR leagues. The dude gets over 20 fantasy points with ease without scoring touchdowns. And again, we're about to start a live fantasy football draft on YouTube. Link to the YouTube's in a TikTok bio, or just look up Walterpicks on YouTube. There's only 2 spots left in this draft. This is a real draft, a $25 fantasy draft I'm about to start, and it's over on Underdog. You'll be able to follow along with the whole draft board if you come to the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. Horford is available, and so is Smart. That is literally the best news I've heard all day. This is the best news I've heard all day. Celtics in 5. Celtics in 5, I'm telling you. The Celtics are better than the Heat. So thoughts on Austin Eckler? Yeah, I think Eckler's one of the safer guys in fantasy. I think he should probably be a top 5 pick. Right now he's going around like 6 or 7. Yeah, you can see his average draft position if you're watching live on YouTube is 7 right now. He's going around 7th overall. CMC is not healthy, doesn't have an O-line, and doesn't have a QB to get him the ball, only in a PPR league. Yeah, so the health thing. First of all, he is healthy. He is currently healthy. Whether or not you think he's injury prone, that's a whole other debate. But he is currently healthy. This is the thing. A lot of people are just going to assume they know Christian McCaffrey is going to get hurt. I'm not a big injury-prone believer. I think all running backs have a really high risk of injury. Guys, I swear we've gotten the 8th or 9th pick in every single draft I've done on these streams. Absolutely brutal. Can I please get in the front half of the draft? Just once. I'm going to end up drafting 4 straight receivers again. We're live on YouTube. I just got the 9th overall pick in a $25 Best Ball Mania 3 draft over on Underdog Fantasy. I haven't been following much fantasy this year. What would be your biggest tip or strategy for winning my leagues this year? Well, first of all, Jack, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on TikTok. That's easy step 1. And honestly, Jack, you and everyone else listening to this live stream right now, you're already at a huge head start. If you're watching a fantasy football live stream in May, you're not just hoping to win a fantasy football championship. You're going to have a very good chance to do so. So you're already off to a good start, Jack. I'd say my general advice, though, don't draft a quarterback early. I'd say the earliest quarterback you should probably draft. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can see the rank in order of average draft position right here. Jalen Hurts is the earliest quarterback you should draft, and he's going off the board as the 7th quarterback. So that would be some easy piece of advice. I would also say, like, you're going to want to either take one of the top 3 tight ends or just wait a really long time. Tight end strategy is my favorite in fantasy because it's almost every year pretty simple. And this year, I think, again, it's pretty simple. The tight end strategy this year is you want Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, or Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts is my favorite among those 3 at their current price. If you don't get any of those 3, you probably should just wait for Dalton Schultz And if you don't get Dalton Schultz, just literally wait till the last round and take a flyer, because the drop-off in tight ends is absolutely insane. All right, this draft started, guys. We got the first 6 picks in. Again, you can watch this draft live on YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, you can literally see the picks as they're happening on YouTube. The first 7 picks are in. Eckler just went 7th overall. The first receiver taken in almost all of these drafts is Cooper Kupp. I'm on the board. Devontae Adams just got taken, and we're going to go with Najee Harris here. Najee Harris might be one of the less efficient running backs in the league, but there's very few running backs that are locked into as much volume as Najee Harris is. I mean, almost every single week, for that exact reason, he's projected as a top 5 fantasy football running back. So I'm not going to feel bad drafting Najee Harris, even though I'm a little nervous about the Steelers offensively, their offensive line. Najee Harris's efficiency might suck. He's still probably going to be a top 10 running back in fantasy. Boo, says Walterpicks. What are we booing for? What, the Najee pick? Where's Dalvin? The Dalvin Cook just got taken 12th overall. I just took Najee Harris over Dalvin. I took Najee Harris over Joe Mixon too. Both those might have been a mistake. I am liking the Dalvin Cook number change. I will say he's changing his number this year. Why Hurts first QB? Now, I'm saying the first QB to take. I'm saying Jalen Hurts should be the first QB you consider taking, because he has about as much ceiling as the other guys taken ahead of him. And he also has one of the safest floors in fantasy. So you might as well just wait. That's why. You're going to see in this draft I'm doing live on YouTube, Jalen Hurts will be the 6th, 7th, or 8th quarterback taken, but he'll have a better floor than almost all the quarterbacks, or at least as good of a floor. It's the rushing. But he also has the passing upside now with A.J. Brown, too. All right, I'm about to be back on the clock. Travis Kelce got snagged. I'll probably go with another running back. You can see if you're watching live on YouTube, these are the Walterpicks rankings now in order. This is no longer the underdog rankings. We just finished our best ball rankings. Any of our subscribers can get those in the Walterpicks app today. You can go into the Walterpicks app. If you're a subscriber, you can see our rankings. You can upload themselves for when you're doing these drafts. It's going to help tremendously. Oh, do I go Javonte Williams or Alvin Kamara? Our rankings are saying Javonte, and I think I'm just going to stick with it for sake of ease. I also don't think I've drafted him very much. Why would you pass on Dalvin? Where's Justin Jefferson? Yes, I think the reason I pass on Dalvin, Najee Harris is just a much safer pick than Dalvin Cook. He probably doesn't have the same ceiling, but Dalvin Cook has pretty significant injury risk compared to Najee. But he's also in a much better offense, I would argue. So maybe that was a mistake. Javonte is a massive L. Yeah, so I get it. The Javonte Williams is going to be splitting time with Melvin Gordon. But at the same time, I do want to be investing Kamara. I think Kamara might get suspended. But at the same time, Russell Wilson is going to lead to so many more touchdowns in the Broncos offense. Javonte Williams can still return. But I understand this take, Andrew. I get that it's a committee. I do. Do you still believe Lance is this year's Hurts, and has it changed to someone else? Yeah, I think at the current moment, I would take Trey Lance as this year's Jalen Hurts, although I am a little nervous that Jimmy Garoppolo is still on that team. And we don't know for sure Lance is going to be the week 1 starter. It's still what I would expect. If anyone else is going to be this year's Jalen Hurts, though, and in the year before that, Josh Allen, it's probably Justin Fields. It's probably Justin Fields. But he's on such a tough offense for it to happen. It's why I feel much better about Trey Lance. All right, I'm really hoping Kyle Pitts slides to my pick, by the way. He probably won't. But Kyle Pitts is pretty much an auto draft pick for me in the 3rd round this year. Are you still adding people to your content team? Also, love the hat. Was just talking about him. Love that. Was just talking about him today. I don't know who Flapjack Sports you're talking about, but we actually do. We have one remaining creator spot left to fill. There's only one spot. Left to fill, but it is still available. So if you're interested, it's late in the process. We are going to be announcing the full team very soon. Very excited for that. We have an absolutely stacked team of content creators for each NFL team. I'm very excited to share that with everyone coming really soon. We are about to be in the middle of the 3rd round. A.J. Brown got picked a little earlier than usual in this draft. Kyle Pitts gets snagged in the 3rd. I don't think I've had Najee Harris and Javonte Williams on the same team yet. You changed the people from last year. Who's left? Yeah, so I submitted my app, and I thought it was Andrew. Yeah, this is not the Andrew Yang hat. It's very similar, though. You're not the first person to say that. There's only 12 new creators this year. So 20 of the creators from last year are returning. The reason we have 12 new ones, some people, the opportunity, the time commitment just didn't make sense for them anymore. Some people we did not ask to return, trying to kind of raise the standard overall. But really, like, all love to all of the creators that aren't with us anymore. Nothing but love for everyone that's been a part of this journey with us. But we will have 12 new creators this year. Very excited for them. Melvin Gordon signing back. I know. Is Hurts going to be that guy this year in fantasy? He was already last year. So, yeah, I mean, he just added A.J. Brown. His rushing floor gives him one of the safest floors in all of fantasy. I kind of want to go with Michael Pittman, guys, but he's way down there for me. I'm doing it. I want David Montgomery next, though. I've been coming around to David Montgomery in these drafts. I feel like he's David Montgomery is basically just the poor man's Najee Harris. He's one of those few guys in the league that is going to be a workhorse running back, even though he's on a bad offense. The consistent touches for David Montgomery are really high for considering you're getting him in like the fourth round of fantasy drafts right now. Who are some sleeper QBs this season? And yeah. So I think the biggest sleeper, the sleeper among all sleepers, honestly, is way down here, and that is Marcus Mariota. The sleeper of all sleepers at the quarterback position is Marcus Mariota. You can literally get him in the 18th round, which means he's probably not going to be drafted in almost every fantasy league. He has rushing upside, and he has two pretty intriguing weapons in Kyle Pitts and Drake London as well. It's probably my favorite cheap stack in these best ball drafts that I've done so far, is getting Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round, Drake London in like the 7th through 9th round, and then Marcus Mariota in like the last round. Of course, he has Desmond Ridder behind him, but I don't think Desmond Ridder is going to play in year 1. So that's probably my favorite. Super sleeper quarterback. Someone's asking, when are we going to be doing the sleeper mock drafts again? Those will be closer to the actual NFL season, because these drafts are so much better than. I kind of want to take Zeke over Montgomery, but I'm going to go Montgomery. These are the drafts that are the best to do this time of year to get a realistic insight into average draft position, because there's real money on the line. The mock drafts get better as we get closer to the season. So we definitely will be doing those, though, as we get closer to the season. Thoughts on Aaron Jones and Quadzilla A.J. Dillon, my arguably favorite player in the NFL right now. Guys, if you are watching live on YouTube, where you can see the whole draft as it's unfolding, I've started my first 4 picks: Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Michael Pittman, David Montgomery. Went RB heavy this time instead of 4 straight wide receivers. If you are watching on YouTube, though, hit that like button and subscribe button. I really do appreciate that. Aaron Jones has a really high ceiling as potentially the best wide receiver on the Packers right now at the running back position. He literally could be the best receiver on the team. So the receiving potential for Aaron Jones is really exciting. But I think A.J. Dillon does cap Aaron Jones' upside. A.J. Dillon is going to be very involved in this offense, and I would argue he's a better value in drafts right now than Aaron Jones for fantasy purposes. There's a decent chance A.J. Dillon scores more touchdowns than Aaron Jones. Like that wouldn't be that surprising. The Quadzilla is one of the best goal line running backs in the NFL. And so he could easily carve out that role, which would severely limit Aaron Jones' potential there. So I like A.J. Dillon at his cost more than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones went in the 3rd round in this draft. I've seen Aaron Jones go as early as the 2nd round. A.J. Dillon's going more like the 6th and 7th round. How do we get in a mock draft? This is not a mock draft. This is not a mock draft. This is a real draft. I'm doing a real $25 fantasy football draft right now on Underdog Fantasy. If you've never used Underdog Fantasy before, it's the best place to be doing fantasy drafts all year round. You can get a 100% deposit match if you use the code Walter when you sign up, if you've never signed up before. And you can do drafts for as little as $3. How do we get was there a Marcus Smart question here? The real question is, do my Celtics take game 2 with Smart back? Yeah, they're taking game 2, and then they're going to take game 3, and then game 4, and then game 5. The Celtics are winning in 5. I said it before game 1. Game 1 did not go as planned for the Celtics. But with Marcus Smart back, hopefully Al Horford is going to be able to play as well. The Celtics are winning in 5. I would not be betting against the Celtics. I would argue that the Celtics are the best team left in the playoffs. I'm definitely nervous as a Celtics fan that they won't win it this year, because I think this is the best chance that they've had in a really long time. And I'm not sure they're going to have as good of a chance as this. I know Tatum and Jaylen Brown are really young, but there's only 3 teams remaining and them in the playoffs, and they can beat all 3 of those teams. So I'm very excited for the Celtics. And I am trying to stay cautiously optimistic about them, even though they're down 1-0. And yeah, I still have the Celtics in 5. Kenny Pickett, what about Kenny Pickett? That's the whole comment. Kenny Pickett. I'm not a believer in him, though. If that's the question, do I or do I not believe in Kenny Pickett? I would be in the do not believe in Kenny Pickett camp. Brandon Cooks is another guy that's pretty quickly becoming one of my favorite value picks in fantasy this year. You just go look at the Houston Texans depth chart. A team, by the way, that is going to be trailing in almost every game this year. They're going to be forced to throw the ball in almost every game this year. And you look at the depth chart at wide receiver, and pretty quickly when you do projections like we do, you can see a pretty clear story to Brandon Cooks being top 15 in the NFL in targets per game. He just has to stay healthy. He could see 10 plus targets a game. Like it's within his range of outcomes pretty easily. It's him, John Mechie, I believe, who's a rookie coming off an injury, Nico Collins, who battled injuries last year too, but is not even going to be coming close to competing with Brandon Cooks for targets. And Davis Mills is also low-key underrated, and he should take a leap in year 2 as well. I like Brandon Cooks' value a lot in these drafts so far. I just got him in round 5. This is a 12-person draft, by the way. Again, you can follow along live on YouTube if you're watching live on TikTok right now. Will A-Rod still have a good year? That's a really good question. It's a really good question. I think he will. I personally believe – I don't think it's going to be as good as his MVP seasons, obviously, but I still think he will have a good year. Like, I still think he goes for around 4,000 passing yards. But it's going to be tough for him. I can definitely envision a very frustrated and angry Aaron Rodgers this season. But I do think they're going to keep Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon very involved. I expect Robert Tonyan to be a factor in the red zone as well. And my guy Christian Watson is really one of the most boom or bust rookie wide receivers this season. And I'm betting on the boom for Christian Watson as well. But, I mean, this is by far the worst talent Aaron Rodgers has ever been surrounded with. So it won't be surprised when he doesn't have a career year. But I do think he will still be okay. Is Deandre Swift a first-round pick? Yeah, let's see where he got drafted in this draft, right after the first round. He's been going picks like 12. I've seen him go through like 12 through like 18. He rarely falls past the second half of the second round. And I agree with that. All right, I'm back on the clock. I can't keep taking running backs. I'm going to follow my own advice. Look at the quarterbacks that have been taken, guys. Look at the quarterbacks that have been taken in this draft. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can literally see the draft board. There's a real draft, $25 draft. There's a $2 million prize potentially for someone in this draft. And you look at the quarterbacks that were taken, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, both taken in the 3rd round. 4th round, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. And then right before I took Jalen Hurts, 2 picks before, we saw Kyler Murray go. Jalen Hurts has just as good of a floor as all of these guys. And the reason is because of his rushing. Not only are you going to get the rushing touchdowns, the rushing yards count for about 2.5 times the amount of passing yards. And then you also add in the fact that they added A.J. Brown this offseason. You're going to get Devontae Smith in year 2. Dallas Goedert dealt with some injuries last year as well. The sky's the limit for Jalen Hurts. We have him ranked, I think, as the 4th best quarterback in fantasy this year. He actually might be 3rd in our rankings. And it won't be surprising when he finishes top 3. He just has to stay healthy with the rushing upside, then the additional passing upside that he has this year. You're getting him as the 7th quarterback in the draft. And in these best ball leagues, too, now I only need to draft 2 quarterbacks, which is also an advantage. Who you got for number 1? It's Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is the clear 101, and I think the only other argument is Christian McCaffrey. That's it. That's the debate. I posted a video just recently that CMC should be the clear number 2 overall pick. I said don't make any excuses about it. I, as expected, got a lot of pushback on that video. One of the comments I saw most frequently was, why would you take Christian McCaffrey over a guy like Derrick Henry? And I think that's a pretty fair question. But the reason is the receiving upside. The receiving upside is not even close. So Derrick Henry is going to average over 100 rushing yards per game. And Christian McCaffrey is going to average 80 yards per game. But CMC is also going to have like 6+ catches per game. And that's 6 points. That's the equivalent of 60 yards for Derrick Henry. The reason Christian McCaffrey needs to be 2nd overall, and I think you could make an argument for him 1st overall too, is he can score 20+ fantasy points every single week without scoring touchdowns. There's no other player in fantasy like that. And it's because of his receiving upside. This is what he did just a few years ago when he had the 2nd best fantasy season in the history of fantasy football, in the history of NFL. I think Elijah Mitchell is being slept on a lot. Yeah, I agree with you. He's also one of my favorite values this year. I think I made a video about that recently. Ezekiel Elliott, Elijah Mitchell, Cam Akers are the 3 that stand out to me. Cam Akers got drafted a little too early in this draft, but look where Zeke and Elijah Mitchell went. Same team that drafted them. 5th and 6th round. And both these guys can easily be top 12 running backs. This guy's a pretty strong team starting out so far. But CMC will get hurt every year like he always does. This is the same thing we said about Joe Mixon last year. Joe Mixon was one of only 3 running backs to play every single game last year, at least one of 3 running backs to get at least 50% of the snaps in every single game last year. Everyone was saying the same thing. Don't draft Joe Mixon. We know he's going to get hurt. You don't know who's going to get hurt. Some guys have a higher injury risk of others, but the fact of the matter is most running backs are going to deal with injuries throughout the season. So I'm not going to be overconfident in my ability to predict injuries. I'm going to draft the best fantasy players. And there's definitely some exceptions, right? There's some exceptions. It should be taken into account for some players. But I would say, particularly at the running back position, I'm not going to overweight injuries into my analysis. All right, I'm back on the clock. I don't really want to go Cordero Patterson here because I already have 3 running backs. Going Adam Thielen instead. Thoughts on Marquis Hollywood Brown? Math, Surplus Sports. What's going on, man? Yeah, I think Hollywood Brown is going to have a huge season. Absolutely massive season. He's going to benefit massively from playing with Kyler Murray, who is significantly better at throwing the ball deep than Lamar Jackson. Who are your 3 running backs? Again, if you come to the YouTube live, you can literally see this live $25 draft happen as it's happening. You can see the draft board. I have David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris. Not the sexiest running backs, but all or at least 2 of the 3 are locked into volume, and one of them is just going to be extremely efficient. Don't sleep on Terry, says Avery in the chat. Yeah, I'm not sleeping on Scary Terry. I will never sleep on Scary Terry. And I actually think Terry McLaurin is destined for a breakout season this year because even though as much as you might not like Carson Wentz as a quarterback in the NFL, Carson Wentz is by far the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has ever played with. Terry McLaurin's playing with the best QB that he's ever played with. Go look at the list of quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin has played with. It's not a very good list of quarterbacks. R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins, by the way. Taking my 4th running back. There's a huge drop-off in running backs, by the way. Right after Rashad Penny, it's like these are Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny are the last 2 running backs you can draft in fantasy right now that potentially could start on their team. And then there's this massive drop-off to just all backups. Which is why I wanted to snag my 4th here. Really, like all of these running backs on this list could potentially be backups right now. And Tony Pollard's obviously a backup as well, but he has league-winning upside if anything happens to Zeke. And based on what we saw from Zeke last year, it seems very well within the range of outcomes. All right, we got a Dynasty Superflex question here. Took Herbert and Deshaun Watson 102 and 211, then took Breece Hall in London, good or bad. I love that. I'm very, very pro drafting quarterbacks early in Superflex leagues. I think your first 2 picks in a Superflex league should always be quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson shouldn't be going that late either. Like worst case for Deshaun Watson, the worst case for him in the NFL is that he's suspended just this entire year. And then he has another 10 years as a quarterback, as a top 10 quarterback in the league. So from a Superflex dynasty standpoint, I mean, that's an absolute steal. And I don't think he's going to be suspended this whole season. My prediction would be he gets suspended for about half the season. But this is the NFL. Literally anything could happen. They could literally suspend him for no games. That wouldn't even be that surprising. Would not be that surprising. Again, we're doing a live draft right now, guys, on YouTube. You can come see the draft as it's happening. This is not a mock draft. This is a real draft. And we are in round 9 right now. So far, my squad is looking – I'm feeling pretty good about it. We got Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Michael Pittman, David Montgomery, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Hurts, Adam Thielen, Tony Pollard. We are going to need to take a tight end at some point. Dalton Schultz got snagged really early in this draft. Usually he goes after T.J. Hawkinson, but in this round he went around in this draft he went around 7. Drake London went really early too. It's kind of crazy how I'm pretty sure Garrett Wilson taken after? No, right before Christian Watson. Another rookie wide receiver that feels like the best rookie value right now, even though and the reason he's a value is because people are so down on him in general. It's Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson was taken right after the top 5 receivers in this NFL draft class. And the most important thing when you're evaluating rookie wide receivers, the most important thing to look at, if there's only one thing to look at when you were deciding, is this rookie wide receiver going to be good or bad? You only have to choose one thing. That one thing is very easily draft capital. How early was that guy picked? And it's not even just because we have this like faith in the NFL front offices to make good decisions. It's because when they make those decisions, it impacts playing time and opportunity. And fantasy football is all about opportunity. Jahan Dotson is going to get targets this year. He was taken in the first round. He's going to be the Washington football team wide receiver too. On a team that after him and Curtis Samuel, doesn't have the greatest wide receiver. So I do like Jahan Dotson. I do not want to auto draft him though right now. I will take Allen Lazard though. But Allen Lazard has just as good of a chance, if honestly not a better chance, than Christian Watson to lead the Packers in targets this year, in the receiver room at least. But I got him 15 picks after Christian Watson went. What's your opinion, Carr or Hurts next year fantasy? It's definitely Jalen Hurts. It's really not that close. It's not that close for me. So I have Jalen Hurts ranked as the number 4 fantasy football quarterback heading into the season. And whether or not Derek Carr will probably have more passing yards than Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts' rushing floor is one of the best in the league. It's Lamar Jackson, then it's Jalen Hurts. It's probably Josh Allen might be ahead of Jalen Hurts rushing wise too. But the rushing upside and floor for Jalen Hurts is really what makes the difference. Thoughts on wide receivers with bad quarterbacks struggling to project players like DK and DJ Moore. Yeah, I totally agree, Kevin. And especially DK Metcalf. Like DJ Moore is not as hard for me. I know that he has arguably maybe even worse quarterback than DK Metcalf. But DJ Moore we've already seen what DJ Moore is like with a bad quarterback. So it's a little less hard for me to envision what DJ Moore is going to be like this season. He's still going to be a beast after the catch. He's still going to he's still going to see a pretty good target volume in the offense, and he's going to be good in PPR leagues. DJ Moore is a very good receiver, and he's locked into volume. My bigger question is about DK Metcalf on what is likely to be the most run-heavy offense in the NFL, in the Seattle Seahawks. But on top of them being run-heavy, I also expect them to be the worst team in the NFL. Like if I had to choose one team that I am not going to predict to win a single game this season, it's the Seattle Seahawks. They have, at best, an average defense. Their offense was, at times last year, really hard to watch. And that was with Russell Wilson, one of the most efficient quarterbacks of all time. Guys, Russell Wilson has had 6 straight seasons. I want to make sure I say this right. I think I'm going to. 6 consecutive seasons for Russell Wilson, over a 6% touchdown rate. That's almost double the league average. Russell Wilson has been almost double the league average for 6 straight years in touchdown efficiency. And even still, the Seahawks offense was really, really suspect last year, and now we're going from Russell Wilson to Drew Lock. It's going to be rough for the Seahawks, and that's what worries me most about all Seahawks players in fantasy. Is just like, will that offense actually sustain drives and score touchdowns? I'm more confident in the Panthers offense than the Seahawks offense. So DK Metcalf is tough, though, because I would argue DK Metcalf is more exciting than even DJ Moore. DK Metcalf, just as a player, DK Metcalf goes in the end of the 4th round in this draft, well beyond DJ Moore, who went in the end of the 3rd round. I think I would prefer Jerry Jeudy over DK Metcalf, though, assuming Judy's not going to get suspended. But this seems a pretty decent price, though. I'd probably be willing to pay this price for DK Metcalf. End of the 4th round, beginning of the 5th. At that point, you got to bet on the talent. He's going to have big weeks. What do you think about Antonio Gibson this year? I'm nervous for him, man. I'm nervous for Antonio Gibson. I think he's going to do something similar to what he did last year, which means he'll be pretty efficient running the ball, but he's just not going to be involved enough as a receiver to warrant league-winning upside in fantasy. And that was just the disappointing case. He played receiver in college, and he's a very good receiver, and they just don't want to use him in that way. They already re-signed J.D. McKissick, and then they also went out and drafted a running back, I think Brian Robinson as well. So not only is he going to have that same pass catching concerns as last year, he's also going to potentially lose some goal line work to the rookie running back they drafted. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, doing a live draft on YouTube. I just took another 2 receivers, Allen Lazard, Chase Claypool. Talk about guys with bad QBs. Chase Claypool is like the poor man's DK Metcalf, I would say. Instead of Drew Lock, he's got Kenny Pickett. He's also on a run-first team that could really struggle to sustain drives this year, though. I kind of like that comp, too. I feel like Chase Claypool is kind of, just as a player, a poor man's DK Metcalf. Some big, fast outside receiver. What do you think about Deandre Swift? I love Deandre Swift. I mean, he has some of the highest receiving upside among all running backs in the league. And he's also going into year 3. So, like, he also has youth on his side as well. Thoughts on Juju this year? Yeah. I think Juju has one of the wider range of outcomes among receivers this year. Like, there is a realistic chance we see a rejuvenated Juju Smith-Schuster who leads the Chiefs in targets after Travis Kelce and finishes as a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football. He scores 10-plus touchdowns. All that's possible on the Chiefs. All that is possible. But we just haven't seen it from Juju in quite some time. And I do think part of that is just Big Ben aging and the Steelers' offense being really run-heavy. So I think that ceiling is pretty exciting to chase. But that's all kind of factored into his price. He was one pick after, or 2 picks after DK. He went early 5th round in this draft. I think I'm more excited about Juju in PPR leagues, though, than non-PPR leagues. Someone asked, what are your thoughts on Treylon Burks? It's funny how fast news will drive down a player's price. Like right after the draft, I'm on the clock here. I'm going to take Gronk because I do think Gronk is playing this year. And when he is playing this year, he's a top 10 tight end. And right now I'm getting him. I just drafted him as I think, let's see, like the 14th or 15th tight end in this draft. I'm taking the risk that Gronk is playing. Are you hiring still? Yeah, we have one creator spot available. The link to apply is actually in our Instagram link tree. So you can go check that out. It's not too late, but it is late in the process. So you should definitely do it today if you're actually interested. We have one content creator position left to fill. Our content team is absolutely stacked for next season. I can't wait to introduce the rest of our new creators to everyone. I'm sure some of you are going to know some of them. Back to the Treylon Burks. That's who we were talking about. Right after the draft, Treylon Burks was getting the most hype of all rookie wide receivers, and he was being picked as the earliest rookie wide receiver in all these underdog drafts. And then he goes to rookie minicamp, and he literally can't even finish one of the first practices because he's out of breath and out of shape. And now all of a sudden he's getting drafted like 3 full rounds later. I feel like I should just go for the Pittsburgh Steelers stack. This is going to be the only Pittsburgh Steelers stack I do. But look at the tight ends left. He's tight end 11 usually. Look at all these other tight ends. Like we're taking him way after his ADP. I'm not a big Muth fan, generally speaking, but I did need a tight end. I feel like I should draft Kenny Pickett to this team now too. I'll just go with the Najee, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth, and Kenny Pickett stack. But the thing about Kenny Pickett is he's not going to start in week 1. So maybe I'll go with Mitch Trubisky instead. But yeah, my general thoughts on Treylon Burks is that he's really destined. He's really destined to let people down. Like I like him as a player. I think he's going to be an exciting player in the league. But he's really being set up to fail, similar to how Kyle Pitts was set up to fail by the fantasy community last year. We were picking him so early as a rookie tight end that he literally had one of the best rookie tight end seasons of all time, and he still failed to meet expectations in terms of where you drafted him. For Treylon Burks this year, it's like people expect him to just immediately fill this A.J. Brown role. A.J. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. He's one of the most talented receivers in the history of the league. A rookie wide receiver, any rookie wide receiver is going to really struggle to come in and just fill that role instantly. I think Treylon Burks will take a part of that role. He could like lead all rookie wide receivers in touches. I also think Drake London has a pretty good chance to do that as well. But I just feel like we're setting him up to fail by hoping he will fill Treylon Burks' shoes. I do think he's going to be a good receiver, but I will say, and this is a cautious reminder to everyone, that at least one of those rookie wide receivers, probably 2 of them that were drafted in the first round, they're going to be busts. There's busts in every single class. I'm not saying I would pick Treylon Burks to be the bust. I honestly would probably pick Jahan Dotson to be that bust if I had to pick someone. But someone in this class is going to be a bust. And certainly showing up to your first rookie camp, not even being in shape is not a good sign for you. I have a feeling we could look back at the A.J. Brown, Treylon Burks trade, and Tennessee Titan fans will never forgive the Titans for that one. There's so much pressure on Treylon Burks to be good, man. Thoughts on Saquon? Yeah, I feel similarly to Saquon as I do Christian McCaffrey. It's not to the same extent, but they also are at much different prices right now. If you come to YouTube, I'm doing a live draft on YouTube right now, $25 draft. I'm chasing a $2 million first place prize. And in this draft, Christian McCaffrey actually went 3rd overall, but Christian McCaffrey is going 2nd overall in almost every single draft. And Saquon Barkley is going in the 3rd round. And I'm just a very big believer. All running backs have a high risk of injury. People generally overweight their ability to estimate injuries. And this is what's happening with Saquon Barkley. The only reason he's going in the 3rd round is injury concerns. A bigger concern I have for Saquon is just the Giants being terrible on offense, similar to the Seahawks concerns, similar to the Steelers concerns. I'm nervous about the Giants offense in general. That's the only real concern I have for Saquon, though. I have, obviously, the injury concern is there a little bit more for him than other running backs, but you're getting him in the 3rd round. He's one of the most athletic running backs in the history of the NFL. And there's never been more incentive to give Saquon Barkley an insane amount of touches than there has been this year. He's in a contract year for the Giants. So both him and the Giants are incentivized to have a lot of touches this year. So I expect Saquon, a healthy Saquon, to be a top 10 running back in fantasy. You're getting him in the 3rd round. I'm taking him in the 3rd round all day long. All right, we're about to be back on the clock. I honestly might grab Matt Ryan to get the Matt Ryan, Michael Pittman stack. I don't hate that at all. I'm going to draft 3 quarterbacks on this team as well, so we'll go with Matt Ryan. Mitch Trubisky, honestly, I would finish the Steelers stack here. Again, I'm doing a live draft on YouTube if you're watching live on TikTok, and I already have 3 Steelers on this team. But I think we're going to see half the season is Mitch Trubisky and half the season is Kenny Pickett. And I honestly am more excited about Mitch Trubisky from a fantasy perspective than I am Kenny Pickett. Hey, Sam, have I missed you? Thanks, Josh. Miss you too, man. Celtics in 5 still, Josh. I'm telling you guys, Celtics in 5. They're going to win 4 straight games, and they're going to win in 5 games. I'm not backing down from this one. I'm feeling weirdly confident about the Celtics tonight, which honestly hasn't happened much this season. But with Marcus Smart and Al Horford coming back, Celtics in 5. We will take Will Fuller with his next pick if he's there. If not, I honestly might go with Marvin Jones. Oh, there goes Will Fuller. Classic. Oh God. XD, we needed this comment like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. Is this real? When did this happen? Can anyone else confirm? Did Gronk make an Instagram post hinting at retirement? I have a really hard time believing Gronk will retire with Tom Brady returning. Like, without Tom Brady there, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. But with Tom Brady there, it's hard for me to envision Gronk leaving. Let me look this up. Oh God, 3 days ago this happened. Happy birthday at Gronk, waiting on you. And he responds, I'll represent a 7 jersey in the stands for you. Oh, man. Yikes, I should definitely draft another tight end on this team now. We're going with Njoku. You hate to see it. I think it was a comment that, yeah, I just read it. Can confirm. He commented this on Playoff Lenny's page. Yikes, Owen. Yikes. You hate to see it. But at least I got that info before this draft ended, so I could rectify the tight end position a little bit. But I still won't be surprised. I don't think an Instagram comment is binding. I won't be surprised at all if Gronk plays this year. And the thing about Gronk, I've said this about Gronk, I think for the last 3 years that he's played. I felt this way when he was on the Pats too. In the last year he was on the Pats. Like, if you have Rob Gronkowski on your team at this stage of his career, you should really just preserve him for the playoffs. Like, you really should not put him at any risk throughout the entire season. Maybe put him out there for some blocking plays. Like when he was on the Patriots, his last year on the Patriots, he literally played more offensive line than tight end. And just make sure he's healthy for the playoffs, and then just let him loose, and then go win the Super Bowl with a healthy Rob Gronkowski. That's what I would do if I had Gronk as an NFL team. If I was the Bucs, I would say, yeah, just retire, and then just like unretire as we get closer to the playoffs. Stay in shape, stay healthy. We honestly don't even need you on the field to get to the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, yeah, we could probably use you. Are you doing a draft? Yeah, I'm doing a live draft right now on YouTube. You can come see the draft board. We are pretty deep into the draft, around 14 now. I had the 9th overall pick. I keep getting absolutely screwed with my pick number. I think I would much prefer to have I think my favorite picks this year, at least so far, if I'm not going to pick in the top two, I would love to pick in the top two. I want Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey on my team. If I don't get either of those guys, I want to be at 6 or 7 where I can get Austin Eckler. I think that is my ideal picks for this year. And for whatever reason, in almost every draft I've done, I'm getting the 9th or 10th pick. But I will say we always think we know what picks are good, and then you look back after the season and you actually had no idea. Like last year, being at the back end of the draft was a blessing in disguise because all the running backs picked early were injured. So it sounds like there's some bad momentum on Gronk not playing this year, which is a little disappointing. But yeah, I don't think we can take a 4th tight end. But Muth and Njoku will have to come through for us in this team. My team is the Clippers. Boston is built like the Clippers. 2-way wings are the way to go. Yeah, look, the Celtics are the best. The thing that the Celtics have is the ability to switch on almost every single player in the league. They even did it with Giannis. Like when they have their full lineup, they literally had 2 candidates for Defensive Player of the Year in Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. And the rest of the defense is also very good. And then almost all of them can shoot threes on the other end. The Celtics really are arguably the best 2-way team in the NBA this year, and I think they're winning 5. Any Cam Akers stock this year? Yeah, I do have Cam Akers stock. I will say I have been having some scary flashbacks this time of year because this time last year, literally all I was doing. If you had a camera looking at Sam this time last year, I was just at my computer drafting Cam Akers over and over and over again. That was all I was doing this time last year, just drafting Cam Akers every single draft in like the 2nd round, and then he tore his Achilles like a month later or a month and a half later, and like half my best ball teams were just crushed. So I don't want to be that overweight on any one player when I'm drafting this early this year. But I do like Cam Akers, and the reason I like Cam Akers is he's on the Rams. The Rams are going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL again this year. But not only are they going to be a top 5 offense, Sean McVay has historically shown us that he wants to give his top running back a massive workload. There's a legitimate chance we see a Todd Gurley type season out of Cam Akers as long as he stays healthy the whole year. Like he could come close to the 21 touchdowns that Todd Gurley scored not that long ago. What platform do you do mock drafts on? I do not do mock drafts. I do real drafts. This is a real draft on Underdog Fantasy. If you've never done Underdog Fantasy drafts before, these are best ball drafts. You just do the draft. There's no other commitment after the draft. Your best lineup submitted for you throughout the whole season. And you can draft for as little as $3. And if you've never deposited on Underdog before and you use the code Walter when you sign up, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to your first $100. And you can draft for as little as $3. So I would recommend this over mock drafts because when there's a little bit of real money on the line, you get a much more clear look into actual player value. And again, you can come to the YouTube live right now. Link is in the TikTok bio. You can see the draft board of this draft. This was a $25 draft. These are pretty realistic player values to expect in actual drafts. Obviously, it's going to change a lot as we get closer to the season. For mock drafts, though, if you're actually going to do just normal mock drafts, Sleeper is the best platform by far. And I will do some of those as we get closer to the season. Keep Najee for a 2nd or Jefferson for a 3rd. I have a 3rd pick, 10-team league. That is a really tough one. And actually, if you look at the draft I'm doing right now live on YouTube, Tyler, Justin Jefferson actually I think was picked before Najee Harris. And so I think I would probably go – I'm going to take Alec Pierce here just because we have Matty Ice on this squad. So I got the Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. I'm definitely taking Paris Campbell on this team too. I just saw a report today that he was finally looking healthy. We have only a few more picks left, right? Yeah, 2 more picks. I'll probably go Paris Campbell, then Marcus Mariota if he's available. Do you like Damian Pierce this year? Yeah, so Damian Pierce is the that's what I thought. The Houston Texans running back. It's tough for me to get excited about anyone in that backfield. I'm most, I think, excited about Marlon Mack. I know we haven't really seen Marlon Mack do much since he got injured, but he was talented at one point. But if it's not Marlon Mack, it's probably going to be some combination of Marlon Mack, Rex Burkhead, Damian Pierce on one of the worst offenses in the league. Look, Marlon Mack just got picked. Damian Pierce was picked much earlier, I think, in this draft. Wow, we went in the 10th round. I like this Marlon Mack pick a lot more than Damian Pierce in the 10th round. Let me pull up some info on Damian Pierce. I honestly have not looked too much into him. He's not a good receiver. 27th percentile target share in college. He went to Florida, 4th round pick. Yeah, I mean, I think I would prefer Marlon Mack over him. And you're also getting Marlon Mack 6 rounds after him. I picked up Burks and Hall in my league. I love it. Breece Hall is going to be a problem in the NFL. He's going to be a problem in the NFL. He is a Saquon Barkley type prospect without any of the injury history in like 4 years younger than Saquon Barkley currently. So imagine you copy and pasted Saquon onto the Jets and you eliminated the injury concerns. That's basically, and you said he's also going to be 22 years old. That's basically what the Jets just got. Except instead of drafting him in the 1st round, they got to get him in the 2nd round because the NFL is a little bit smarter this time around, this year in the NFL draft about drafting running backs because they are injury prone and very replaceable in the NFL. But they got the best running back in the class by far in Breece Hall, and he's going to be a problem for NFL defenses. The question is, how good will he be in fantasy football? He's getting picked. Let's see where he got picked in this draft. He got picked the beginning of the 5th round. I think. No, the end of the 5th round. He got picked right after Antonio Gibson, right before Josh Jacobs. I still think I'd probably rather Elijah Mitchell over him just because Elijah Mitchell is going to be in a better offense. But he has very good receiving upside too. So in PPR leagues, I'm not going to shy away from Breece Hall. Michael Carter will still be involved though. Do you think Kyron Williams has any chance to break into that backfield? That's the Cardinals running back, right? Oh, the Rams. Why did I think that was? Is that? What's the Cardinals guy's name again? He was probably just picked. Benjamin, the guy that's competing with Benjamin. Let's see. Maybe he wasn't picked yet. It'll come to me. But no, I don't think Kyron Williams is breaking into the backfield ahead of Cam Akers or Darrell Henderson. We're going with Mariota here. I think Marcus Mariota is my favorite late round quarterback. I just took him in round 17. Paris Campbell is going to be my last pick in this draft. So we're going to go pretty light on the running backs because I made a mistake drafting Gronk. I had to go 3 tight ends. So we're going to hope that the running backs can hold up, but I think I've drafted some pretty good running backs given that hope. Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, those 3 guys stay healthy. This team could win me $2 million. Taylor Rams, yeah. I don't think he's going to break into that backfield. Best case scenario for him is he beats out Darrell Henderson. I don't think he's beating out Cam Akers. He was picked in the 5th round. Like there's a better chance that Kyron Williams plays literally not at all than that he plays a lot. Well, the real question is how good is the Jets O-line? The Jets did add 1 O-lineman in free agency this year, so they should be a tiny bit better. But really, I would argue the big question for the Jets. I actually posted a video on Jets.Walterpicks account on TikTok, I think last week. The Jets could have a top 10 offense in the league. The only big question is, and this is a pretty big one, is how much is Zach Wilson going to improve this year? How much is Zach Wilson going to improve this year? If Zach Wilson can take a relatively big leap, they could literally be a top 10 offense in the NFL. But it's got to be a pretty big leap. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year. He really was abysmal in almost every single way. He had some moments that were okay, but really, if you look at the end of year metrics for Zach Wilson, he ranked outside the top 32. He ranked outside the top 32. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. He ranked outside the top 32 in clean pocket completion percentage, play action completion percentage, pressured completion percentage. He ranked 44th. He ranked 44th in the league in the percentage of his passes that were catchable. He was arguably the least accurate quarterback in the league last year. We're talking about Zach Wilson right now. So, I mean, in order for the Jets offense to be a real thing, that's got to improve tremendously. Like, he at least has to be an average accurate quarterback. But he did show some promise as a deep thrower. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be massively beneficial for him in the passing game as well. I had Garrett Wilson as my pre-draft wide receiver 1. I would still argue he's the most talented receiver that was taken in this class. Walter, man, the viewers are a lot different during football season. I'm always there. for you. Use your advice a lot during fantasy. Thanks, Mikey. I appreciate it. And yeah, everyone a part of these live streams, especially in May, these are the true OGs. Everyone listening right now, seriously, I appreciate you so much. And last thing I'll say to that, Mikey, my name's actually Sam. It's a classic mistake. Walter is the artificially intelligent algorithm that I helped build that powers the Walterpicks app to inform my own fantasy opinions and everyone that uses the Walterpicks app who wants to be good at fantasy. It helps inform their opinions too. So that's a classic mistake. Don't worry about it. How do you feel about Damian Harris and Scary Terry? I'm a little bit nervous for Damian Harris just because he had an insane touchdown rate last season. And I typically expect touchdown rates to regress towards the mean. And for Damian Harris, that's not a good thing. That basically means he's going to score less touchdowns this year if he's closer to the league average in terms of touchdown rate. And then on top of that, the Patriots drafted 2 running backs in the draft this year. Ramondre Stevenson looked pretty good last year. But all that being said, Damian Harris is going into a contract year. It won't be surprising to see him lead the way for the Patriots again this year. And then they don't re-sign him because they have these running backs that they drafted, and Ramondre Stevenson looks pretty good. This is typically what the Pats do, right? They wear down running backs and they never invest a lot back into them. Let's see. Let's look at the exposure really quick. What this is looking like for me. I don't think this was accurate last time we looked at it. This looks accurate now, though. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can come see. I've done 27 of these underdog drafts so far, and it shows you the percentage of players I've drafted so far in these. My most drafted tight end is probably what I'm most excited about. I talked a little bit about Kyle Pitts earlier in the stream. Let's go C's. Let's go C's, man. Celtics in 5. I'm telling you, Celtics in 5. And this is a good answer to the question in the TikTok live right now. How you feel about the Falcons offense? Look, the Falcons are going to struggle offensively this year, but from a fantasy football perspective, I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm most excited for Kyle Pitts, though. I have Kyle Pitts right now. We have Kyle Pitts projected for a 31% target share, which is higher than every tight end except for Travis Kelce. And it's higher than almost every receiver, too. Like Kyle Pitts, the type of target volume Kyle Pitts could see, even in a slow, bad offense, is absolutely astronomical compared to almost every other tight end in the NFL. And then on top of that, he just had one of the best rookie tight end seasons of all time. He didn't hit expectations in fantasy because we were drafting him way too early for a rookie tight end, but he's no longer a rookie tight end. So not only are we going to see improved efficiency from him this season, we also know he's locked into insane volume, which is why he's been my most drafted tight end in the 27 drafts I've done so far this offseason. And I want him on all my fantasy teams. He's going to give you that Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews edge, but you're getting him in the 3rd round. To get Kelce, you got to take him in the 1st round. To get Andrews, it's going to be early 2nd round. But to get Kyle Pitts, you could take him late 2nd round, early 3rd round, and you're getting similar upside there, similar advantage positionally. My general tight end strategy this year is to get one of those 3 guys. And if I don't, to answer your question, Gibson, in the TikTok live, if I don't get Travis Kelce in the 1st round, Mark Andrews in the 2nd, or really ideally Kyle Pitts in the 3rd, then I'm going to wait for Dalton Schultz. And hopefully I'll be able to get him in the 5th, 6th round. Because Dalton Schultz does have really high upside. He dealt with injuries last year, but really through the last 6 games that he played, he was one of the top 5 tight ends in fantasy football, and now Amari Cooper's gone, obviously, as well. So I do like that a lot. In redraft, yeah, I'm taking Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round automatically if he's there in redraft leagues. Guys, that's my time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be doing one of these every week. Seriously, everyone that tunes into these lives in May, you are the true OGs, and I really do appreciate your time. Nothing is more valuable than your time. So seriously, thank you for spending some time with me today. Like I said, Celtics in 5, and we'll be back on the stream very soon. Have a good one, guys.